out there, welcome to Joe Franklin Remembers. That's me. We've been requested by a lot of people out there to do a little bit on Jimmy Durante, possibly the most beloved old-timer that ever lived. He was known as Schnozzola. He had a big, famous nose, not bulbous like W.C. Fields, but big in its own right. In fact, I've got a friend of mine who was writing a book once of people with their previous nose and the current nose, and they approached Jimmy. He said, "What do you mean previous? This is my only nose. I never had a previous nose. That was it." And he was, as I say, he was known as Schnozzola. He used to like a song written by Cole Porter, "You're the top, you're the Inferno Dante, you're the nose on the great Durante." He loved these kind of songs. He loved making fun of things. Now, there was one mysterious item that was spreading all over the world. Whenever Jimmy Durante ended his TV show or his radio show, he would always say, "Goodnight, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. Goodnight, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are." And the whole world was curious. There were headlines, there were magazine stories. Who is Mrs. Calabash? Nobody knew. But I did my research. I found out that Mrs. Calabash had been a nurse in the hospital one time when Jimmy Durante was sick. And she took beautiful care of him. She gave him every kind of bedside attention he needed. And then she very mysteriously crept into the night. He never saw her again, but all his life he wished he had been in touch with Goodnight, Mrs. Calabash. That's the true story about it. Now, Jimmy Durante was like me. He never said no, no matter where he went. And I went with him many times. People would approach him on the street. They would say, "Jimmy, will you come to my synagogue on Saturday night? Will you come to do a show at my benefit for this Friday?" He would say yes. He never learned how to say no, but when the time came, he was not there because he had prior bookings. He had official phone calls, for example. "Hello? Hello?
Okay, Joe, what do you think about
15 minutes. I'm taping you till 15 minutes. So then he just never showed up. He promised to be that, but his intentions were always pure. And Jimmy Durante, besides the raucous, the rock and roll, the fabulous songs that crowded the Copacabana, crowded all the famous nightclubs, he was known primarily toward the end of his career for singing tender, beautiful ballads in that raspy voice. You know, he made a lot of movies, by the way, with Buster Keaton, with all the big stars, but he was known for his ballads. He was singing As Time Goes By, Remember, all the sentimental songs. He did it in such a beautiful, soft, poignant, beautiful way that nobody ever equaled the magic, the poignancy, the detail, the throb in the voice of the late and great Jimmy Durante. He was one in a million. And whenever people remember the golden age of showbiz, the golden age of the Palace Theater, they think about the days when Jimmy Durante packed them in. He was #1. And the famous act in vaudeville, the most famous act of all, was called Clayton, Jackson, and Durante. He had a famous phonograph record called "I Can Do Without Broadway, I Can Never Do Without Me, I Can Do Without Broadway, I Can Never Do Without Me." Let me tell you one thing, Broadway could never do without Jimmy Durante. He was one in a million. He was the most exciting, dynamic, dapper. When he died, that part of show business died as well. Joe Frank remembering Jimmy Durante. And let's get more memory, more memorabilia, more nostalgia next time around. But long live the memory of Schnozzola, the one and only Jimmy Durante. I loved him and I miss him. Joe Franklin Remembers. I'll be remembering with you everybody. Jack Bendy, Eddie Gander, Al Jolson, Rudy Valley, Kate Smith, Bob Hope. Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney, the golden age of show business, Betty Davis, everybody, and they'll give you everything in the way of behind the scenes, behind the screens, what happened on stage, backstage, at various stages of their lives. It'll be most compelling, exciting, fascinating. I'm looking forward to doing it, and I'll be proving it with you and for your mommies and daddies that everything old is new again. So you'll be watching for me and Joe Franklin Remembers. Memory lane as it was meant to be, the best of the past. The past is not passé. We'll be reminiscing all through these next many years. Let's be in touch as we present. Listen to the reminiscing. Thank you so much.